Welcome. Says we're live. Not
We're
going to
live.
do this again today.
We're
Just
live.
happy that you're all here. Welcome to the program. Time for the Five Stack. My name is Dean, deanblundell.substack.com. That is my very good friend and co-host. I'm not his co-host. He's not my co-host. We're both co-hosts. No one's the host. There's no hierarchy here. Yes, it's
None.
a socialist Substack Live. That is Zev Shalev, narrative.org. We'll talk a little bit about socialism today. We got a packed show for everybody. We have a meeting with a behind closed door meeting with Ma'am Danny and Mom Donnie.
Yeah,
Mom Donnie.
I
That's how
think
you say
so.
his name.
Yeah.
The mayor-elect of New York and Donald Trump. Yesterday, Caroline Levitt goes, "We have a commie coming to the White House tomorrow." There's no way. She literally said that, among
I
other
wish.
things,
I
like
wish.
anything Donald Trump does is lawful because he's the fucking president. Well, this guy's such a pussy. He's having a closed door meeting with Mom Donnie because he doesn't want anybody to see it. So anyway, we'll get to that, and I'm sure we'll get some comments from the mayor-elect of New York. I think what is he, 34? He's a young cat. He's
34.
a young cat. He's achieved a lot. Not bad.
He is
Um,
less than twice. Is half or less than half of Trump's age. That's the
yeah,
generational
68,
difference there. I mean, it is kind of like
80,
remarkable how much is
half plus 12 years,
how much
right?
time exists between these two people and their perspectives on the universe.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what he says and how he handles the bully in the White House. I'm excited about that meeting. There's so much going on in the show today. There's also a new tweet from JD Vance targeting Canada. Did you see that one?
Yeah, I've responded to it, and I've already heard back from some of his people, so
Oh,
we'll get to that. Yeah,
okay, that's
he's
exciting.
he retweeted this. This might come as a shock to you. You know how yesterday I was like, I'm starting to think there's something wrong with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
This might come as a shock to you. I'm pretty sure the president and the vice president are using false information to
Lying? This presidency lying? I don't know how you could prove that.
I'm pretty sure they're using fake information from fake economists on Twitter to do things like call Canada an infested immigrant nightmare and to justify things like attacking Venezuela and Mexico. So we'll get to that. We've got that. Of course, I don't know if you know this. Mexico was invaded by the United States the other day.
Yeah, that's another rundown today. I'm excited about that invasion story. Because
it's going to be a good one.
Purpose? Is that real? We'll find out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We'll tell you where they staged it from as well. Elon's involved. So this is going to be fun.
Yeah, that'll be good. Did you see Elon using Grok to flatter himself? That's been the big story on Twitter today, or X today. And also, there's a story about gay sheep we never got to yesterday, which I was dying to get to. We had such a big show.
Some gay sheep?
There's some gay sheep and a gay sheep outfit created for a gay fashion week or some fashion week. We can talk all about that if we get to it, if we're lucky. Plus, I'm going to throw something into the rundown because, yesterday's conversation was all about the death threats and all these crazy things that Trump is threatening against Democrats. Well, we had a new somebody show up in North Carolina as a potential candidate for the Democrats, and he used this as one of his rallying cries. He dumped his speech. We'll just watch it. We can see what he says, and let's see what his argument is here.
Hello, thank you all for coming. My name is David Clayton. I'm challenging 82-year-old Virginia Fox of North Carolina's District 5. I had a whole speech written out, but seeing Donald Trump's last words calling out any kind of opposition to him as sedition or treason or traitorous, issuing threats, death threats to Democrats, even Republicans like Massey, anyone that dares to question his ultimate authority. We have an issue today with our country, and it's beyond politics. It's beyond party. And frankly, with Donald Trump, it always has been. It's about power and control. This is not about the Constitution. On day one of winning my race against a Donald Trump allegiant loyalist that pledges an oath to a wannabe dictator over the Constitution, I will introduce articles of impeachment. And I hope every single one of my fellow candidates, fellow congresspersons will as well. It's a shame that
I don't know about you, but this all sounds like a really good way to start a campaign. And I don't know. Maybe Democrats need to be adopting this strategy, this impeach, convict, remove. I like it. It's got a nice ring to it. And, why not? Why not run on that campaign?
Well, I think that that's a great place to start because what we saw yesterday, I don't know if can we use this as number 5,
Yeah.
hanging Democrats
Let's call
threatened to
it
do that yesterday.
sedition.
Well, at first he was like, he retweets this Nazi account because who doesn't do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, you hang him like fucking George Washington would. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to hang him like George Washington would. And that was directed at Democrats. That was directed at Democrats to put out that video, which we played yesterday. Everybody's well aware of this video, saying do not follow unlawful orders, according to former CIA operative, Navy expert, legal expert, Ms. Houlihan, who was in the video. He's committed 150 unlawful acts already. So he's already, like, they've got 100. They're like, it's lawful. It's no biggie. No, it's not. You literally are running amok. You've committed 150, according to the count from former JAG officers who are keeping count, and Houlihan and some really responsible former men and women in uniform, or former CIA, FBI, secret security. There's this movement now to track everything, but just over 150 unlawful requests have been made of the military and of men and women in uniform and of law enforcement by Donald Trump. A lot of those things have been stayed. A lot of those things have been struck down by certain judges. Chicago would be another great example of that. That's why Greg Bovino, that little fucking Nazi's, moved on to North Carolina, plans on going to Baltimore next week. So there's that. Now, the interesting thing here is how Caroline Leavitt and MAGA Mike Johnson. Do you have the MAGA Mike clip
I
of him
don't-
talking about sedition? I sent it to you. No,
Yeah,
that
it's
doesn't
in
matter.
the
You
wrong
don't have to.
format, but it's I'll get to it. I'll get to it a little later if we can.
Yeah, no problem. I know you were going to have to talk about how we get clips to you. But anyway, how they're framing this, and Stephen Miller's come out, of course, little Nazi Stephen Miller's come out. This is sedition. They're telling people to break the chain of command. Absolutely fucking not true. That is all gaslighting. That is all lies. And what Donald Trump did yesterday was literally beg for GOP and House Senate committee members to employ the 25th Amendment, because he asked to, he told everybody that he planned on hanging his opponents, and then he told everybody multiple times that anybody that doesn't listen to the orders he gives should be punished with sedition by death.
Yeah.
Now, let me kind of break this down real quick, because I did a little research today. If you do not follow lawful orders, you actually don't. You don't get charged with treason. You just get thrown in the brig because you didn't follow lawful orders, and then you get a discharge from the army. Not literally, nothing fucking happens. If you're like, I don't feel like running into that firefight, they're like, fuck, we're going to charge you with sedition, and we're going to charge you with treason or not following a lawful order, and you're just never going to be part of the army anymore. It's like, fuck, so be it. A lot of people do that. The maintenance program that Caroline Leavitt and MAGA Mike Johnson and the rest of his stupid fucking kakistocracy cabinet members are engaging in right now is the assertion, what did we talk about yesterday? That Donald Trump is the law, and it doesn't matter what anybody says about said law. If he gives an order, it's lawful.
Right. They think he's the
That
king.
is how they are positioning this.
king.
We called it yesterday. Caroline Leavitt came out and fucking said it again today. It's like, doesn't matter what he orders. It's lawful. MAGA Mike Johnson got chased by Manu Raju the other day. He's like, hey, what do you think of that whole thing where Donald Trump is threatening to, like, murder men and women in uniform for not following legal orders to take out extrajudicial killings?
Yeah, we can actually watch listen to that clip. Let's listen to Mike now.
Yeah. Here it is.
What I read was he was defining the crime of sedition. Okay, I don't. That is a factual statement, but obviously attorneys have to parse the language and determine all that. What I'm saying, what I will say unequivocally, that was a wildly inappropriate thing for so-called leaders in Congress to do, to encourage young troops to disobey orders. I mean, think of what the threat that is to our national security and what it means to our institutions. We have got to raise the bar in Congress. This is out of control and is wildly inappropriate. And for a senator like Mark Kelly or any member of Congress in the House or Senate to be engaging in that kind of talk is to me just.
And here's the catch.
Yeah.
Not only did they not tell people not to follow Donald Trump's orders, not only did they not tell people, men and women in uniform, to not follow military orders or to break chain of command. Never once they said, follow the oath you took to the Constitution and do not consult, but do not follow illegal or
Yeah,
unlawful
I mean, they said
fucking
basically
orders.
follow the law, which is follow the Constitution. They said that's
Yeah.
all they said. Do not do anything illegal, which is obvious. So now they're spinning that as the senators and the House members are out of control. That is
Yep.
insane. And this is why that guy that we just saw from North Carolina, who's a former military dude, obviously, is running on this basis of we've got to impeach this guy, we've got to remove him from office, and we've got to convict them all. These guys are runaway criminals. And this follows into story number 5, which is stunning on the face of it. The U.S. Coast Guard attempted to reclassify swastikas and nooses as merely potentially divisive symbols rather than hate symbols in new harassment guidelines set to take effect December 15th. Now, after the Washington Post broke the story Thursday morning, the backlash was so immediate and furious that the Coast Guard completely reversed course by last night, with Acting Commander Admiral Kevin Landay issuing new guidance explicitly banning these symbols as representations of hate. The reversal came just hours after the story published, raising serious questions about who ordered the change in the first place and whether Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem knew about it. What's your bet on that?
She didn't. Yeah, that's a great story, actually. It happened yesterday afternoon about 1 o'clock. Coast Guard released a memo saying they are no longer going to classify pictures of nooses
Yeah, and swastikas.
and swastikas as hate symbols. Yeah. Those are fucking hate symbols. There's no, and people never put those hate symbols on a piece of paper and go, I'm just drawing a hate symbol because I like this hate symbol. They use them to attack people. They use them to make people afraid. They use them to desecrate synagogues and scare the shit out of African-American sailors and men and women in uniform hanging nooses on the end of their bunk beds during basic training. Yeah. And they're saying what the Coast Guard is saying yesterday, which is led by a MAGA dude because they fired the real Coast Guard commissioner several months ago. We're not going to be woke. And I'll tell you where that order came from, which is interesting. It came from Pete Hegseth. And it came from Donald Trump. And it came from every member in his inner cabal, much like the change for the Department of Defense got changed to the Department of War. And the backlash was so severe because there are living examples right now of countries that have criminalized and are criminalizing the use of hate symbols to engineer ideologically motivated extremist violence. And in Canada, we've got a bill called C9, which is making its way through the Senate. It'll get royal ascension, which is, approval. That if you use one of those hate symbols to engage in like virulent demeaning of a group or a person, or you put those in a place where they are meant to stoke violence and stochastic terrorism against a specific group of people, you are now going to go to fucking jail. In Germany, if you use the swastika, you spray paint a swastika on something and they find out who you are, there is a minimum jail period of fucking 10 years because of that country's history, because that is a hate symbol. That's how fucking seriously they take it. And yesterday for 6 hours, they tested the waters in the United States of America. They're like, let's see how racist this country is.
You know what? It's also a dog whistle to everybody who might be a Nazi to say, hey, we're okay with it here in the Coast Guard. You want to bring your racism and your anti-Semitism over here, we'll give you a good job. We'll probably give you a signing bonus. And it's okay. You are fine just coming in here and being a Nazi and a racist and doing whatever it is you need, because we don't take that seriously over here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And coming from this administration, which is inflating anti-Semitism through X, through Musk, through whatever's going on online all the time, and through Fuentes and the Groypers, we're seeing this, large upswell of part of the youth, the Nazi youth, and it's led by J.D. Vance now. In the absence of Kirk, J.D. Vance is now the big American Nazi youth leader, and under him there is an upsurge of anti-Semitism that's building. And it's all connected. It's all
Stephen
connected.
Miller too, by the way.
Yeah,
Stephen Miller's also
crazy.
part of that.
Jewish.
And to your point, I think there are a couple of things, like a couple of factors that are playing into them testing that balloon, where they're like, hey, let's delist the fucking swastika and a noose from hate symbols and allow people. Let's just see what happens. America reacted so violently. They're like, oh, sorry about that. But what people don't understand is 40%, this is a number I read the other day, of members of MAGA, the Republican Party, the GOP, under the age of 30 years old, are massive Nick Fuentes Nazi groper fans.
Mm.
Paul Ingracia, the dude they named the head of counterterrorism, 22 years old, Groyper. There are Groyper, Nazi Groypers, anti-Semites, people who are so violently America first, they hate the Jews just because they want to hate the Jews. There are so many of them in the Trump universe as underlings, and he promotes them because that's what he appreciates. It's what he likes. Completely unqualified. Like this Paul Ingracia guy, who is Andrew Tate's former lawyer. He's a fucking Nazi. He's a fucking Groyper. He's a Nick Fuentes pal, buddy, sycophant. And they almost installed him as the Mueller, the Office of Special Counsel. They almost installed him as that before. They're like, fuck, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like so the interesting part of that whole thing to me is this is like a hate speech trial balloon where they're like, we got to give something to the Nazis. We got to give a little hat tip to the 18 to 30-year-old total fucking Nazi loving, Hitler appreciating, Mein Kampf reading loser incel, because they need it. We need them. And MAGA is fracturing down the fucking middle right now.
Yeah, but this extremist anti-Semitic part of MAGA, which is part of ICE now, ICE has become this, a reason to be racist in public. You can join ICE, you get your $50,000 bonus, you can go and just beat up on people, get your thrills that way, whatever it is, and send them out to, without any oversight, and send them into another country forever. It's a thrill for these guys. Maybe they get off on it. Who knows? But now we're saying, okay, we'll let the Nazis come into the Coast Guard and we'll test it out. We'll test out how the Nazis feel in the Coast Guard. And so the military ranks, which we just discussed earlier, are standing up to Donald Trump, are busy saying we're only wanting to follow the law. They're trying to fill all these ranks with Nazis and racists.
They're trying to change the demographic. Yeah.
And the thinking of the rank and file, is we protect the Constitution. It's okay to be Nazis. That's not what they're thinking. But, if you change the makeup of the population, you change the demographics, that's exactly where you land up. So this is more serious than just we made a paper error. We should never have put that in that way. They're trying things. And you got to wonder why. Why does this administration need Nazis? Why do they need such a big upswell of anti-Semitism going on? Like, what is really behind all of that? Like, what is the final stage they're trying to get to here? What are they building towards that they need all these elements building?
Having an army of brown shirts that infect every major law enforcement, military, sub-military brand in the United States of America. I don't know if you saw the latest numbers from the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I cannot believe they put this out. But the Proud Boy, J6 infested ICE goons, Gestapo dickheads that are running around hurting people with joy, by the way, said that they were going after migrants, illegals, violent criminals that have been allowed to just live here and continue to rape and pillage and murder. The interesting part of that is these numbers don't bear any of that out. ICE finally released the post-shutdown detention data. Latest data reveals that a full 40% of people arrested in the interior and held in ICE detention centers have no criminal record.
Wow.
Not one. 40 fucking percent. No criminal charges or prior convictions at all. That is a rate 10 times higher. It's only based on skin color. That's a rate 10 times higher of the illegals that they have picked up with criminal convictions. 10 times higher, because this has always been about making America white again. This has always been about cracking some skulls of some brown and black and anybody who isn't white, Christian nationalist, any Hispanic looking individual, anybody who doesn't look like they're one of us. Like, in fact, look at us. We're the white, we're the master race. 10 times the amount of people. 10 times because of their skin color. They're not going after anybody based on their criminal record, prior
They just
convictions.
want brown people out of the way, so they think they're going to
You
get the
got it.
jobs. But then, yesterday or 2 days ago, he says, by the way, all those jobs that I'm creating on these data centers, I'm bringing in foreign workers to fill those jobs. So psych on you, MAGA, you're not actually getting those jobs. They're here to train you. Maybe one day you'll get those jobs. So the number 4 story on the countdown today is all about the United States accidentally invading Mexico. This is a story from deanblundell.substack.com. You have the scoop. What happened?
Happened on the 17th. Nobody knew about it because America sent like 6 or 7 subcontractors for the Defense Department. This is a fucking wild story.
It really is.
So locals in this beach community, which is directly across from the Starbase, Elon Musk's Starbase in Texas, directly across, which is where they launched this. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, isn't it? Directly across. They're like, what are those gringos doing, putting up signs on our beach that say, this is the property of the Department of Justice. You cannot come here in the United States of America, the DOJ, the Department of Defense. If we find you here, we will arrest you. We will detain you. So make sure that you fucking heads up. This is now America. This beach is now America.
DOD property.
DOD property. Yeah. So locals, they're like, hey, they call the Mexican army. They're like, here's a sign. Just took a picture. I'm going to send it to you. And they're like, what the fuck? Within an hour, heavily armed Mexican, the equivalent of Navy SEALs, show up on helicopters and helos. They land and they're like, what the fuck is going on? They're like, hey, these white guys just kind of came in here on a bass fishing boat, all dressed in civilian gear and masks. And they rammed all these signs saying this is American beachhead property. Yeah. And so these Mexican Navy SEALs are like, fuck this. They just pulled these things out of the ground. And Claudia Sheinbaum confirmed it, that several defense contractors, this is the president of Mexico, 7 defense contractors, invaded a beach in Mexico and just put up a bunch of fucking signs. And they're like, we own this now. And when asked about this, the Department of Defense, I'm not calling it the Department of War. It's a fucking great picture. Look at those guys. They're like, yeah, we're just taking this beach for America. We're just.
I feel so safe, I really do. I feel so safe with these guys. The Department of Defense, there, ladies and gentlemen, the American military, make America great again.
Some 22-year-old losers with some bearded dude like driving some signs into the sand, going,
"This
we own
beach
this
is
now."
Ours. One giant leap for humanity.
We're starting in Playa Baghdad. This is going to be awesome.
Next year, Mars.
Oh, fuck. Dude, like the incompetence and the idiocracy knows no bounds. So effectively, when pressed and asked by several news outlets, a department spokesperson was like, our bad. Yeah.
Oops. That wasn't really, the Department of Defense. That was Mexico that we decided to put the signs up.
No, even better. They blamed the defense contractors got the wrong beach, and you're like, what? It's a fucking whole different country.
This reminds you of Normandy, really. It does. It just takes you back to great
bunch of guys in fishing gear and face masks showing up, going, we own this now, right? And Mexican Navy comes in, they're like, no. They're like, okay, well, we'll leave. And so they just fucking left.
Our bad. We'll just get out of here. No problem.
Huh?
We made a mistake.
And they want to police the world.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go. That's really the funniest story I've seen in a long time. It's really good.
Such a great story.
Number 3 on the countdown is all about Canada. Prime Minister Mark Carney walked out of a meeting in Abu Dhabi this morning with a $50 billion US dollar commitment from the United Arab Emirates for long-term investment in Canadian energy, AI, critical minerals, logistics, whatever that might mean, and data centers. Yeah. This is another story from deanblundell.substack.com. Such a busy day over there. Tell us what this is about. Carney's doing some good deals around the world.
Yeah. Do you want to just for a second do the Carney versus Trump scoreboard? It's a good one.
Yeah.
Pardon me. How's that 51st state stuff coming? We don't flinch. Mark Carney had a fucking historic week. Canada had a historic week. We'll get to the Abu Dhabi stuff in a second. Let's just back up. To start the week, We did an agreement with Germany where we're going to put Canadian software, Canadian brains in all of Germany's Navy fleet. All the software, it's Canadian software. $1 billion, no problem. Then we get a sales job featuring the king and the queen of Sweden, 30 defense contractors from Saab and other countries' defense contracts in Sweden, plus the deputy prime minister, plus the Department of Defense chief in Sweden coming over here going, hey, we want you to build our Saab Griffins. We want you to build it. And we also want you to...
What's a Saab Griffin?
Saab Gripen. It's their fifth generation fighter. It's made for Arctic security. So we just sign an easy. Yeah, it's a fighter jet and drones. By the way, they're leading edge drones technology. Sweden, very very smart place, and so we just did a little measly $21 billion security and trade contract with the Kingdom of Sweden this week. We're going to announce the Gripen manufacturing 10,000 jobs here in Canada. So. Let's go to the F-35s real quick. That just means we're not buying those shitty jets. So that's upset the ambassador to the United States, the MAGA
so there are a bunch
operative.
Of jets we were buying from America, F-35.
We're not doing that anymore. Yeah, no, fuck you.
Hoekstra, is that his name?
Pete Hoekstra. Yeah, he's like, buy our jets or else. And Carney's like, oh, it's too late. We just did a huge deal with Sweden. Fuck you.
Oh,
then,
I saw that wins. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck you. We're doing the Gripens. They're better for the Arctic. They're cheaper to run. And we get autonomy over all the software, unlike you pricks who can brick anything that you sell us. You've been doing it to the free world for the past 50 fucking years. So go fuck yourself. Then, and this is really the capper, he just slowly makes his way over to Abu Dhabi and signs a contract, a defense security AI investment contract that nets Canada another, not 50, that number is now 70 billion real fucking dollars with the UAE for rare earth minerals, trade agreement, free trade agreement that adds $700 billion over the next 10 years to the bottom line of the Canadian economy and does all kinds of wonderful things for the people of Abu Dhabi, including giving people the ability to invest in both countries at a moment's notice with favorable rates and terms. But effectively, this week, he walked through the United States, said, we don't give a shit. We're not buying your fucking jets. We're just going to continue to build Canada. The idea that Canada is beholden to the United States anymore is over in any and every fucking capacity. We have said no to doing business with an unstable partner. We have said yes to doing business with people that have their shit together. And Donald Trump has done nothing. So let's get to that fucking scoreboard, because it's a beautiful scoreboard. Not only was this historic week incredible for Canada's economy and the revolution, it's a military revolution here in Canada, but it also put Donald Trump and everybody on the back foot in the United States. $50 billion UAE investment framework in energy, AI, critical minerals, logistics, and data centers with the UAE. A new Canada-Sweden strategic partnership plus potential Gripen Global Eye production hub here in Canada worth tens of billions. Over time, building a sovereign Arctic security ecosystem, meaning Canada and Sweden, we're now the new fucking cops of the Arctic. That is huge. The $1 billion Navy contract for Canadian designed CMS 330 turning into a key supplier, not just a customer. A clear strategy to double non-U.S. exports has finally fucking been achieved in record time as we pivot and trade towards Europe and the Gulf. What has Donald Trump done? Nothing.
Not very much this week.
He does not have one signed agreement with one country in any capacity for any kind of tariff, trade, investment, procurement, defense contracts, to the point where he is now lost out on all those defensemen.
Yeah, because to your point, these
procurement contracts.
Rare earth minerals would have traditionally gone to America. They wouldn't have gone to the UAE. They would have been helping build American industries. They would have been helping keep America in the lead of the world, because these rare earth minerals are very important to the growth of the tech sector and other sectors. And so to have Canada having to turn its back on the United States because of Donald Trump and go to the Middle East to find partners that they maybe wouldn't have gone to originally. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Abu Dhabi, but there is. So what Donald Trump is forcing the free world, the allies that used to constitute the free world, Canada, the Australia, Great Britain, the European allies that we have, He's making everybody turn away from the United States, and he's damaging the economy of the United States. It's just as simple as that. And it's exactly to your point. That scorecard tells it all. And of course, JD Vance now jumping into the whole thing today. Here he is, JD Vance, Mr. Economist, saying, well, I'm sure the causes are complicated. No nation has leaned more into diversity is our strength. We don't need a melting pot. We have a salad bowl. Immigration insanity than Canada. So this is him criticizing Canada's immigration policy because what this other dude said is that our standard of living basically has dropped compared to Great Britain. So what happened in Canada will be studied by many historians and economists as the prime example of self-destruction of an otherwise prosperous nation after blindly following left ideology. Now, I don't know who this Michael Arouet guy is.
I do.
Okay, I'm sure you do.
Want me to tell you who he is?
Yes, I'm who he is.
Yeah. He's a fake economist. He's a Twitter economist. He is a full-on crypto bro.
Okay.
He is cited by several people in Silicon Valley. He is not an economist. He's just a rat. He's like a fucking Twitter rat that pretends to be an economist that puts out information on crypto because he's trying to rug America. And so he's literally citing information that not only is not vetted, he's literally citing information that's wrong and that is a lie. And JD Vance, because Canada is eating your lunch, JD Vance, you couch humping fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Canada's eating your lunch. Canada's moving away from you. Canada's pivoted east. We want nothing to do with you anymore. The economy is going to start roaring. We will start building. The military and economic rare earth energy fucking revolution is on here in this country. That was the most feckless attempt to insert a racist explanation for to a tweet that was pre-designed with numbers that are absolute bullshit and total lies to make Canada look like our standard of living sucks and let's blame the brown people.
That is amazing because it goes on to say basically here, and with all due respect to my Canadian friends whose politics focus obsessively on the United States, really, your stagnating living standards have nothing to do with Donald Trump or whatever bogeyman the CBC tells you to blame. The fault lies with your leadership elected by you. Really,
Yeah.
JD Vance.
So let's break that down.
Yeah.
JD Vance is a dumb fuck. JD Vance is lying. JD Vance is trying to gaslight Canada, and Canada's done. We all see through his bullshit. JD Vance is married to an Indian woman of Muslim descent who practices her Muslim faith. Her name's Usha.
Mm-hmm.
And this week she was seen for the first time without her wedding ring on.
Oh.
Yeah. And I'm just going to put this out there. Usha, hi. You can practice your faith in my house anytime. Number one. Number two.
The Charlie Kirk, Eric Kirk?
Yeah.
Thing? Oh, boy.
Yep.
Boy. Oh,
Yep.
boy. JD
Yeah,
Vance.
we'll get into that next
Wonder's
week.
upset
It's
this
coming.
week.
Oh, so yeah, it's going to be awesome. Canada doesn't need anybody's permission to push back.
Yeah.
And the pushback from people like me, people like you, people in Canada that have, larger platforms, big mouths that kind of understand this, can walk you through why JD Vance is doing this to Canada in less than 10 seconds. And it's really, really fucking simple. It's because he's a fucking cosplaying fascist. No one has had more turns in personality. Nobody has just decided to change who they are more than JD Vance. In college, he was bi-curious. Then he was gay. Then he was straight. Then he was fat. Then he was a Democrat. Then he was Republican. Then he was all about Appalachia. Then he wasn't. Then he fucking went away for a while. And then he became Peter Thiel's bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Thiel's bitch, who, same guy a year and a half before that called Trump America's Hitler. Same guy before that said Trump is going to be a disaster for women's reproductive rights. Same guy before that said he could never live in a country run by Trump is now his fucking vice president, who's repeating every single word, pretending that he's some fucking kind of cool dude in the cool dude crew, when he's really just a fucking actor.
Yeah.
He is playing a role, and he's playing a role, and he might become the next president of the United States. So who might he fucking turn into again? Because I can tell you what he's turned into now is a living, lying, fucking embarrassment to the United States of America, who's desperate to keep the fucking grift alive, because it means he's going to have to change his fucking personality again if he doesn't.
Dean, I'm so glad you're raising all this about JD Vance, because I am a little concerned as we look down the line here. If Trump doesn't survive what's coming down the pike here with Epstein and all these other things, JD Vance is probably going to be the next president. And I don't think we can allow that. I don't think Americans could even begin to allow that prospect of JD Vance as the president of the United States, precisely for the same reasons you couldn't allow Donald Trump to be that person, because it's all the same network. Peter Thiel just as tied in to Epstein as Donald Trump is tied into Epstein. And Peter Thiel runs JD Vance. So when we talk about this president needing to be impeached, and I keep talking about the fact that he needs to be impeached, I include his vice president and his administration and everybody around him, because they're all part of the same network and they're all doing the same dirty work. And so, people have to stop thinking around, JD Vance is not so bad as Donald Trump. He's way worse than Donald Trump in some ways, because of the reasons that you point out. He's completely anybody. He'll be anybody. Tomorrow he'll be a full-on fascist if you want him to be. He'll do whatever cosplay,
whatever works for him.
Yeah.
And here's really kind of the weird part, is that because of what I do and who people I know, he's got a sympathetic audience here in Canada with a guy named Jamil Giovanni. Jamil Giovanni is his buddy from university. Jamil Giovanni works for Maple MAGA. He is a sitting conservative federal politician who has been fired from every fucking job he's ever had, because what he does is he goes in there and then he claims that he's being racially discriminated against because he's from Guyana or something like that. I don't fucking know. He's got alopecia. He's bald, and he's doing the Charlie. This is fucking wild. He's doing the Charlie Kirk Turning Point USA bullshit in Canada now. It's an op called Restore the North, where he gets a phone call from JD Vance and he goes, "Brother, I'm going to pick up the mantle." And I know this for a fact to be fucking true.
Yeah.
"Brother, I'm going to pick up the mantle here in the United States for Charlie Kirk. And you need to do the same thing in Canada. You need to radicalize young, angry white guys across Canada, because if Charlie did it, you can do it. You can be Canada's new Charlie Kirk." So what does this fucking moron do? Who, by the way, he was a broadcaster in radio in Toronto when I was a broadcaster in Radio Toronto. And he's an absolute fucking terrible broadcaster and a failure in broadcasting, a failure as a journalist, and a fucking failure as a human being. So because he's an opportunist, I've got no problem saying it. Because I worked in the same industry as him.
You're entitled.
And I was huge and he was nothing. Like nothing. He was a nobody.
Yeah.
And then when he got fired for fucking sucking at his job, he's like, "You did it because I'm from Guyana." And you're like, "What the fuck, dude? You're just really bad at this. Like, go do something else." So he was unemployed for a long time and he got picked up. And he did what JD Vance did. He changed his entire personality, and then he decided to become this Christian guy who had a story, and now he's all into the anti-Christian bias and burning churches down in Canada. They're coming for Christians. They're coming for us. They're coming for your shit, young man. And the problem is that we feed too many kids with the fucking lunch program. That's what he said last week. We feed too many kids. It's a parent's job to feed the kids, not the schools. Fuck them. He literally said that last week. Literally. So he's trying to start this whole Turning Point USA thing, which is a radicalization process, much like Turning Point USA was. And I have this prick cornered up here in Canada now.
Which may explain why JD Vance is on this rant about, hey, Canadians, you're suffering, your standard of living is lower than it should be. It explains why they're obviously coming for Canada, and they're coming for Canada's youth, and they're trying to convert these smart Canadian youth into something that they're not, which is the sort of version of the Turning Point, which Charlie Kirk was quite good at doing. But what Turning Point has become now is JD Vance's personal, I don't know, tool to just
bully pulpit, piggy bank,
vent bullshit at people. And Tucker Carlson was on there the other day. It just gets a little weird over there at Turning Point. That's interesting. That's really interesting stuff, Jamal. Number 2 on the countdown.
Jamil, not Jamal. You know what's going to happen is, right? The good news is you're gay, so he's not going to come after you. Good. He's going to say you're being racist if you call him Jamal.
Oh, so it's Jamil?
Yeah, dude, Jamil. Just play the LGBTQ card. You'll be fine.
I don't play that card. Number 2 on the countdown. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. admitted in his first major print interview that he personally ordered the CDC to change its website to say that the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not evidence-based, even though he acknowledges that large studies of the MMR vaccine and thimerosal preservatives found no link to autism. Kennedy argues there are gaps in the vaccine safety science because of the high-quality studies haven't examined every possible vaccine in the first year of life. And he says his job is not to gaslight Americans, but to give them accurate information about the state of the science, which apparently means suggesting that vaccines might cause autism where there's no evidence, none, that this actually is the case. And he's lied to Congress while doing all of this. So
perjured himself, really. Did you read? Let's get into the dirt because this is fun.
Yeah.
Which kind of leans into what you're talking about here, which is a brainworm, heroin addict being the HHS director.
When you bring in the
Did you read the
brainworm,
Olivia
you know.
Newsy comeback story?
No, I haven't read that yet. What is it?
It's awesome.
Okay.
It's not awesome because she's a great writer, because Olivia Newsy is a terrible fucking writer.
Yeah.
Her and RFK had this fucking digital affair
Yeah.
for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And he would say stuff to her like, and they never met. Like they met, but they never consummated the relationship physically. They just mutually masturbated on fucking FaceTime.
Oh, so great. Thanks for the image. Appreciate it.
Microwave Mel Gibson and Olivia Newsy going at it on FaceTime.
Yeah.
That's a hot look.
Yeah.
So in this like childlike written expose by Olivia Newsy,
Yeah.
where she admits to falling in love with this guy because he said that she wanted him to have her babies and she thought that was cool. There's a segment in there that she talks about the brainworm,
Yeah.
where he says to her,
This was a part of their lovemaking.
if we meet, just want you to know the brainworm is not really a worm and it won't affect you. And she's like, oh, thank God, because I really can't wait.
This is actually part of their their courtship about the brainworm.
Yeah. And Olivia Newsy's delusional. Like she
Yeah.
fell in love with this guy because of his eyes and he's a Kennedy. You know how like a 12-year-old like reads a story
That's what
about
she likes.
Prince
She likes
Charming.
his
And,
Kennedy.
yeah,
That's what she likes.
all she likes.
That's what it comes down to.
And her ex-boyfriend who she left, who she fucking spurned, who she embarrassed, Ryan Lizza, who works with Steve.
Yeah.
Great guy at Telos. Ryan Lizza wrote a rebuttal and basically was like, I mean, she's never really a great writer, on top of the fact that, she fell in love with a guy that she never fucking met.
Yeah.
She threw her life away for a guy she never fucking met. And the exchanges between these two is such an insight into the conversation you're having about RFK Jr. just going, well, I decided to change the childhood vaccination schedule. This is because no big deal. Like it's you have to go read it.
your RFK is fantastic. I gotta tell you,
My RFK is like
He's really good.
really
Spot
good.
on.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I'm not great at like impersonations, but my RFK is pretty good right now. All I have to do is have a fucking chest seizure, and I'm like, okay, that's easy.
the brainworm made me do it. Is why he changed the whole thing. It's why the vaccines are bad. Vaccines are terrible. Don't do it.
Yeah. Vaccines are the worst. Vaccines are. I mean, it's
Hey.
more of the same. It's it's you got
It's
you
crazy.
invade a
Crazy.
fucking Mexican beach because you got guys running the Department of War that have no idea what they're doing. They're like, oops, sorry, wrong place.
Oh my God.
And then you got an HHS guy going, I changed the vaccine schedule, but it's only because I just wanted to help. And you're
She
like,
dumped him. She dumped him. Is that the reason why? I don't know. So the
well, they
number
got
one.
found out, and
Okay.
so Cheryl Hines was like, "Cut it out. I know you're a dog," and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
God, the housewives of this White House administration would be a great show, eh?
Oh, awesome show.
Meanwhile, the White House is pressuring Ukraine, this is the number one story, to sign Donald Trump's 28-point peace proposal by Thanksgiving, i.e. next Thursday, or lose all U.S. support, according to 5 people familiar with the talks. And the plan reads like a surrender, really. I mean, you can't look at this any other way. They basically, Vladimir Putin has told Donald Trump, and somehow they've agreed to this idea, that Russia should get permanent recognition of Crimea, Luhansk, and Donetsk. Ukraine must cut its military in half, surrender all of their long-range missiles, pledge never to join NATO, and evacuate parts of Donetsk to create a Russian-controlled buffer zone. What is a Russian-controlled buffer zone?
It's like
Trump,
the Maginot Line after the Second
but
World War. Yeah.
If they control it, they control it. While Trump personally chairs a peace council, and American corporations get 50% of all the reconstruction profits. It's insane what they're proposing over there, and he's given him till Thursday to accept. I mean, Zelensky is in a tough spot here, but this is the most undemocratic friendly, un-Western union of allies friendly. This is just an assault on democracy, and it's a shakedown of the Ukrainian people. And it's not what the United States is about. We don't do these things. And then, of course, buried in all of this is this Arctic resource extraction partnership, which apparently gives, Russia and the United States permission to sort of excavate minerals out of the Arctic, which should really belong mostly to Canada. I mean, it seems like an assault on Canada. It starts a new hemispheric battle between Russia and Canada in the Western Hemisphere. It's quite an offensive thing that they've come up with, and they've told Zelensky he's got to do this by Thursday. And I still don't understand. Maybe you can explain it to me why Canada and the Arctic has anything to do with the resolution of the Ukrainian war.
I can explain all of that.
Yeah.
So, 28-point peace plan. If you go and watch today's morning intel briefing with Jacob Carsborough, I did with him and Lev Parnas this morning, which is here on my Substack. Encourage everybody to go watch it. Ukraine has basically told them to go fuck themselves. That deadline for Thanksgiving, that they were given that deadline after Ukraine, their envoy to the UN, everybody in their Defense Department, everybody in the Ukrainian government told Donald Trump, Steve Witkoff, and his special envoy and his asshole friends to go fuck themselves. This is not a peace plan. You cannot bring peace to Ukraine. You cannot force us to give up territory. You are not in charge of this country. We will die defending it. It's exactly what Vladimir Zelensky said today. He also said we're going into a harsh period where we have to, pay attention to some of the plans that are being presented to us. But they, in no uncertain terms, said we're never fucking signing this. We will fight until we're dead, and Russia's losing. Everybody knows that.
I see the president is on. He's saying something at the White House. Should we just dip in because it was about the Mamdani meeting? And I'm just curious what he says.
But it's a cold winter, and a lot of the
you hear that?
You talk about utilities, but a lot of the big energy producing plants have been under attack, to put it mildly, to put it nicely.
Can you hear what he's saying? I can't hear.
A way of getting peace, or we think we have a way of getting peace. He's going to have to approve it. Just so sad. So many people. Last month they lost 25,000 soldiers. This is something we haven't seen anything like this since the Second World War. And they're averaging 6,000 or 7,000 a week between the two of them, dead soldiers. And it goes on and on. And I think they're getting reasonably close. But I don't want to predict. I would have said that would have been one of my early ones. I did 8 peace deals of countries.
Oh, you didn't do any peace deals.
India, Pakistan.
No, he didn't.
You could even go, in fact, they're coming here in a week or two, go to the Congo and Rwanda. That was 10 million people dead. And we worked something out on that. But so many.
No, he didn't.
What I thought would have been, for me, because I have a very good relationship with President Putin, I thought that would have been maybe quicker. But it does take 2 to tango. And now you just see all the death. And, it doesn't affect us other than the fact that we don't want to see all those people that really, it's on the other side of the ocean. It's a war that should have never happened. It did happen. I blame the person also sitting right behind this desk. This is a war that should have never happened, and it wouldn't have happened if I were president. But we're trying to save a lot of lives. They're losing 25, think of that, 25,000 lives over the last short period of time. That's Ukrainian and Russian. And it's a shame.
I want to ask the mayor-elect about a House resolution just passed overwhelmingly to condemn socialism, including with 86 Democrats, all of House Dem leadership, and the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries, despite his endorsement of you. What's your reaction to that?
I have to be honest with you, I focused very little on resolutions. Frankly, I've been focusing
on socialism.
I understand. I think the focus is on the work at hand. I can tell you I am someone who is a democratic socialist. I've been very open about that. And I know there might be differences about ideology, but the place of agreement is the work that needs to be done to make New York City affordable. That's what I look forward to.
And I want to clarify your answer to Stephen Nelson. He asked about your comment calling the president a fascist. And your answer was, both President Trump and I have been clear about our positions and our views. Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about.
That's okay. You can just say yes. Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
And Mr. President, I wanted to ask you also about this Ukraine plan. President Zelensky said today that his country would risk either giving up a partner or giving up its dignity. There's been criticism that this deal proposal.
He doesn't like it?
It's unclear. He was sort of tenuous about it.
He'll have to like it. And if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess.
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that accurate?
At some point, he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. I would have never, this war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
Mr. President, the cost of living is something that you and Mr. Mamdani seem to agree on. Democrats have run New York City for a long time, Mr. Mamdani. Do you see Democrat policy specifically as being a problem? And I'd like that be a question that both of you could answer in New York City.
Look, I think that there are many things in our city where we have to own the responsibility of it, things that existed long before the president was the president. And those are also part of the message of our campaign, was to take on a broken politics of the past. And I ran against a number of candidates who represented different versions of that past. And what we found time and again is that working people were left behind in the politics of our city. And what we're looking to do is put those people right back at the heart of our politics so that we don't have a situation where we're in the wealthiest city in the history of the world, and yet 1 in 5 can't even afford $2.90 for a Metro card.
Mr. President,
we had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. But a big thing on cost, the new word is affordability. Another word is just groceries.
That's a new word.
It's his new word.
It's very accurate. And they're coming down high. They were, we had, both of us, we had the highest inflation in the history of our country the last 4 years under the Biden administration. And we've got inflation down now to a normal number. It's going to go even a little bit lower than that. Katie, do you have something?
Mr. President, thank you so much. Mr. Mamdani often talks about New York City being covered by international law, that they will follow international law. Doesn't often talk about the U.S. Constitution. What is your response to that?
Well, I don't know what you're referring to in terms it can be covered by international law, local law. It's covered by a lot of laws, but it's covered by U.S. law. Are you referring to anything in particular?
He just says that they're a city that endorses and enforces international law. Is that at odds with U.S. law?
Would you want to respond?
Yeah, I think what I've shared with the president is our desire to not only follow the laws of our own city, laws that protect New Yorkers, but also a desire for consistency in our politics across the board. And that's something that we've talked about and something that I know many New Yorkers want.
We work with ICE then? Mr. President, we work with ICE then?
We discussed ICE and New York City, and I spoke about how the laws that we have in New York City allow for New York City government to speak to the federal administration for about 170 serious crimes. The concerns that many New Yorkers have are around the enforcement of immigration laws on New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs. And most recently, we're talking about a mother and her 2 children, how this has very little to do with what that is.
Mr. Well, we discuss crime more than ICE per se. We discuss crime, and he doesn't want to see crime, and I don't want to see crime. And I have very little doubt that we're not going to get along on that issue. He wants to, and he said some things that were very interesting as to housing construction, and he wants to see houses go up. He wants to see a lot of houses created, a lot of apartments
Sees an
built.
opportunity, does he?
We actually, people would be shocked, but I want to see the same thing.
Mr. Mamdani, the anti-Israel protesters.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I wanted to know one of the policies as well that Mayor-elect Mamdani talked a number of times about on the campaign was shifting the tax burden for property taxes from what he called minority communities to white-based communities and putting more taxes on white people. I also noticed that in your acceptance speech, you didn't mention anything about America or Christians or white people in general. And so I didn't know if that was one of the policies that you guys had spoken about.
What about the white
Christians? We
Christians?
focused on the cost of living crisis. What I will say is that I am very much interested in property tax reform, because what we see right now in New York City is a system that is so inequitable that it can't even stand up in court. And the president and I spoke about the importance of not only building more housing, but also making sure that regulation of housing is something that is manageable to actually get through and not the cause of yet another weight that we see in
But
our
to be
city.
clear, you're continuing this idea of race-based property taxes.
No, to be very clear,
That's what you said.
no,
Yes, it is.
the use of the term was a description of neighborhoods, not a description of intent.
So you intend to tax the whiter neighborhoods more?
No, we intend to create a fair property tax system because we want a New York City that is not only fair and equitable, but also one that every New Yorker can afford.
You're the one-
Mr. President.
Fucking dude's good.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Mr.
Like
Montani,
the setup
anti-Israel
here.
protesters just targeted a synagogue in New York. Are you concerned about Jewish New Yorkers feeling welcome and safe in the city? And President Trump, you've threatened to cut off federal funding to New York City. What policies would prompt you to do that? Would that be city-run grocery stores? Would it be something else?
Well, I think if we didn't get along, whether it's cut off or just make it a little bit difficult or not give as much, we want to see, I use the term, we don't want good money going after bad. And we don't want that to happen.
So low energy, isn't he?
That's gonna happen. I did say, subject to what policies are being set.
I mean, he really is.
We had a meeting today that's
Like
actually
really low energy.
He looks terrible.
Fucking
He wants to
awful.
see
And this setup of
housing
having,
being built. He wants to see
Mamdani
rents
standing
coming
next
down,
to him
all
is
things
such
that I
a...
agree with.
That's servitude.
Yeah.
He's just, he's sitting down, guys standing next to him. It's like, you're mine. You're mine. You got my. We don't need to kind of go through this. He's kind of, they've dealt with some of the heavier stuff already. But what I find really interesting about Donald Trump, and I'll give you an analogy because I love analogies, and we're seeing it play out. You see it play out with him all the time. And the analogy is, have you ever been in a road rage incident where you're like, I'm going to escalate this, and I'm going to get out of the car, and I'm going to challenge this guy to a fight. Some guy cuts you off. You're like, fuck you. He's like, no, fuck you. You're like, hey, get out of your car at the next red light. And he's like, okay, I will.
Never happened
then-
to me, but I imagine it's happened.
Oh, it's happened to me a lot. Meaning I'm the person that probably started it. And that's why I'm bringing it up, because there's a moment in there where you're like, I'm going to have to prove this out. Like, and so the dude gets out of his car, you get out of your car, and he's probably thinking the same thing, which is like, listen, we've just jawed each other, we've threatened each other, and now we got to meet. And invariably, you're going to have to prove that out, or you're going to fold. I'm a folder.
It's good to know.
I'm a folder where, which is why I don't do that anymore. When I was younger, I used to do it because I was an idiot, and I'd be like, now it's go time. And the guy would get out, and he's like, oh my God, he's huge. Like, now I'm gonna get my ass kicked. I should not have challenged this guy to a fight a block ago.
Yeah.
That's Donald Trump in a fucking nutshell. He runs his mouth when he's in his car.
Yeah.
From the confines of the Twitter car, the Truth Social car. And then as soon as he gets in front of a serious individual, he fucking folds. That's what you're watching right there.
Yeah.
You're watching Donald Trump and the entire fucking show get completely blown out of the water because he is not a strongman. He just pretends he's one.
Yeah.
And he uses legitimate strongmen as his foil, or the military, or the National Guard, or ICE to do that, because if it was up to him, President fucking Bone Spurs wouldn't ever, ever, ever fight with anybody in person.
But the
Like,
thing is,
never.
He's what he's trying to do, and this may work out there in Foxland, is because he's had such an awful week, because his scorecard is so terrible this week, and because he couldn't land a single thing this week. I mean, if you look back at his week, it's just been appalling.
Oh, nightmare. He
Epstein,
lost 12 different ways. Epstein files,
this
the
ridiculous
Texas
peace
gerrymandering
agreement.
thing.
Yeah,
This-
it's just
yeah.
awful week. So at the end of the week, you want some sort of refinement of what people are talking about in the world of Fox. And so he's throwing them this red meat of socialism, which they will now pick up for the next 3 days and talk about socialism and how he called the president a fascist. And here we go.
Dude,
You
the
know?
president just called himself a fascist on national television.
Well, he said you don't have to, you don't have to deny the fact
You
that
can
you
do
called me a
it. You
fascist.
call me a fascist.
But,
You think I'm fascist?
There we
I'm a
go. So now,
fascist.
in Foxlandia, they're going to be loving this. This is red meat. You got a socialist guy in New York. We're going to start beating him up. He's the new guy and the new leading the Democrats. He's the new head of the Democrats. He's the guy that we're targeting right now. So I haven't had such a bad week. This is the last ditch effort after the worst week ever for the president of the United States, where he could be like, "Hey, Fox, here you
He's
go."
okay.
Yeah.
He's all right.
Yeah.
He's got some good ideas. I don't know. Ukraine, yeah, I guess they're going to continue to fight. Like that, like aside from like how ridiculous he is, and he's like a paper tiger, he's sick.
Yeah. No, he doesn't
That
look well.
dude, that man is unwell.
And just to recap,
Like his hand is still eating itself. Like his whole hand is makeup now. I don't know if you've seen
I haven't
that.
seen that. No.
He's got these disassociative outbursts, right? Where he calls people piggy, or he's like, yeah, I'm a fascist. But he is so low energy. His dementia diagnosis is coming out a lot sooner than everybody thinks.
Also,
That's my opinion.
This has been a really terrible week. Just to end this week up, and tie it up here,
Which has been a great week.
Epstein is coming, and I don't care what people say. I know that it's too early to say that this war is over, this battle is over, and he's going to have to stand down, but Epstein is coming. These files are going to show up, and I believe they're going to show up in 30 days in some way or another. We're going to see them, and they're not good for Donald Trump, no matter how you slice it. There is a lot of bad news in there for him and his entire network, and he is trying to hold it back as best as he can, but it ain't going to work. So he can throw Mamdani into the White House and whatever he wants to into Foxland world to try and cover up what has been the worst week ever for this presidency. But he still has had a unanimous vote in the House and the Senate, which has forced him to sign a law which will reveal the dirtiest things about him that nobody ever knew. And that is still the week that Donald Trump had. And it's the weekend he's going to have as he tries to figure out how to get out of this nightmare he's put himself into.
He ain't. And I got to run. I got to hard out.
Go.
I want to thank everybody for joining us for the
Yeah.
Five Stack. Everybody, please go and subscribe to Zev Shalev.
And
Lev.
And Dean.
And me and all of us.
Everybody.
Free or paid. He's got a Black Friday deal. I've got 25% off for the rest of the month. Annual subscriptions for the rest of the day today. If you subscribe as a founding member, you only pay once, never pay again. That's my Black Friday promise to you. But more importantly, thank you for taking time with us. And take heart, America. It looks like it's coming to an end.
I hope so. Greatest Heist 2, Chapter 3, out this weekend. That's all I got to say. Have a good one. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.